There's the road out of downtown Hamilton. Here's the Bitterroot River. We've been down on that shore many times and down that way. We've been up this way. This is the road that goes to Blodgett Canyon, and I'm not going that far today, but I'm going up this road a little bit, and might not know it, but this is the steepest road in America, or at least it feels like that to me right now. So right here, it's kind of the worst of both worlds because this is a pretty steep climb, and you can't see it right now. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I'm taking a picture right now, but not a little country road. I mean, it can be a busy road, so I'm having to swerve over to get on this very narrow shoulder. So you can see how far up I've come from the valley down there. But I've reached my destination, which is Westside Road here. If you look at that, you can see that's a smooth road. Look at those shoulders with gutters, well maintained. So it's going to be smoother than if I continue this way up to Blodgett Canyon. There are some ups and downs, but there's a net decrease from here, so that should also be easier and usually less traffic. But I haven't been here for a couple years, so guess we'll find out after I have a sip of Diet Dr. Pepper and some chocolate cream pie. I also went shopping before I came here, which was bad or, non-optimal planning. So I have a bag of hamburger buns hanging off my handlebar. My panniers are full, and I forgot to get the Tabasco sauce. Leave some fire in the comments to make up for me not having Tabasco sauce. And with that, I'm going to do my actual ride, and I'll show some bits and pieces as I ride down this road. So that first little dip in the road that I just passed was Canyon Creek. And you remember Canyon Creek up on the mountain when we went on that Forest Service trail. Well, this is where it ends up. It'll join the Bitterroot, just less than a mile from here. And right now it's going through, was basically a semi-suburban neighborhood before it joins the river. It's a very nice view of Mount Downing. You can see the H on it. H is for Hamilton. If we go over this way, that is where we took the Canyon Creek Trail up on Forest Service land. That way's Blodgett. But right now, we're going south, and that, of course, is Ward and Sawtooth and Roaring Lion. And I said there's up and downs, but there's more downs than up, which is good. So we're going down here, and I'm going to be careful as I drive down. So this right here is Owings Creek Road. That leads up into the hills. And for a long time, I thought that this here was Owings Creek until I consulted Google Maps last night, and we know Google is always right. This is Sawtooth Creek. Owings Creek right now is just a ditch. Even Sawtooth Creek, which we've seen before when it was full, wow, look at how low it is. Like I said, this is the low time of year. So one of the reasons why Owings Creek and some of the other little creeks are just ditches, basically, is they're coming off of that mountain. So they're just fed by the snow melt or groundwater in that face. Sawtooth, of course, is coming out of a long canyon going up a dozen miles to the border. So it theoretically is bigger. So each one of the creeks around here looks different and feels different at different times of year. That's why I always go out, because it's like a kaleidoscope. You twist it a little and the picture totally changes. And that is not open to the public right here, at least not in any way I want to test today, but it's a nice view. One thing I was a little bit curious about and a little bit worried about was whether, since last time I was here, which was 10 years ago, whether this area would have been developed. And I can understand why people would want to live here. And Hamilton does need housing. The thing is, if you look at this road, a lot of people want to move to a little country house and not have to deal with traffic. And when a lot of people want that, then a lot of people end up dealing with traffic. But it looks like this is still a little country road. Pretty nice to bicycle on, although it wouldn't be my first choice because there is still amount of traffic that makes it difficult at times. So this is a good introductory ride to bicycling around the Hamilton area. Good introductory ride, not great because you don't have the full, beautiful scenery like if you're going up Skalkaho or Sleeping Child. But on the other hand, you still have the traffic of being in town. So it is a good introductory ride if you're visiting Hamilton, want to just go for a quick loop. And we'll see where the loop ends out. And there's two people that this is, the first ride I took with them was taking this little loop. So nice introduction, but I don't do it that often for just those reasons. So this is Roaring Lion Creek, and that looks bone dry. Like, it doesn't even look like the rocks down there are wet. That, to me, is pretty unusual. I've been here before, and I'm trying to think if I've ever specifically been here this late in September, but I still think that's unusual. And I know that some of this water is drawn off for irrigation and stuff, but this looks like it's more a seasonal or systemic thing. And I wonder if I went up further on Roaring Lion, if that would still be the case. That seems unusual. That seems really unusual. Anyway, if this creek was running, it is a nice little site. And there is a place where you can, go down and look by the creek. As it passes through this open ponderosa forest. I'm in kind of a pessimistic mood. With that water dry and with that forest so close together and what's happened in the past years, I can imagine the conflagration that could exist here. Now, we have had some sprinkles of rain, so hopefully it'll come back to raining and we can have a beautiful autumn. And while I'm thinking all that, for now, I'm gonna bicycle onward. We're almost to the end of the loop. As is often the case in areas, in little towns like this, in Montana and elsewhere, you can see, really modest little trailer homes, some of which aren't primary residences. And then just across the street, you can see somebody's built like some gigantic building. Now that looks more utilitarian than a residence, but you do see fancy new residences. So the area like this doesn't have a single character as far as who is living here. And part of that is, of course, that a lot of people who are living here don't live here. So this is Roaring Lion Ranch. That is some sort of guest ranchers. We used to call them dude ranch. So there are a lot of people who live here who don't actually live here. And you can see there's more homes over here. And so this place, people pay money just to come and live here for a while. But on the other hand, people live here and just drive to work and live in little mobile homes. So see a mix of both. It's starting to rain and I'm coming to the end of the loop, so I might as well tell a story if anybody wants to hear it. One day, probably March of 2001, so 24 years ago, first winter that I lived here, I had a lot of youthful energy, maybe some youthful anxiety, and I left my house and I walked this entire loop. Now, that's not an epic trip, but it's, 10 miles to go all the way to Hamilton, then come up here, walk around. And I remember the reason I did that is in the past, I'd sometimes had those moments where I would do something like that. And after a certain amount of traveling, I would feel that transfiguration. World would transform around me. William Blake said if the fool were to persist in his folly, he would become wise. That's basically what I did. I just did something and put my energy into it until I felt the world transform. And I remember just waiting for the moment where the world would turn into Menegroth, when it would turn into a Maxfield Parrish painting or a Van Morrison song, when I would bring that sense of wonder, and it just didn't happen. I just felt like, why am I walking down this boring road on a cold day when everything's grim? So, sometimes in life you reach that moment and sometimes you don't. Right now I'm really not. When I'm being here, I'm remembering what it's feeling, but it's just a memory. And that comes into bigger issues. People a lot of times want to come to the country because they want to escape banality and the extractive mindset, but they bring it with them in practical matters because, hey, look it, you can't go anywhere without using a chain of resources that goes from here to the moon. And if you were to talk about, walking or riding a bike, or why doesn't your neighborhood have a community center that isn't provided by, mass entertainment or something? People would think you were crazy. I'm going to get off my soapbox, but when I look here, I don't feel anything outside of, the banality and extractive mindset of normal life. And what I do feel, if anything, is people romanticizing things to try to escape it and not escaping it. So what is this? It's a little country road. You could have your experience of a lifetime walking along it, bicycling along it. You could see things you've never seen before. Or you could come here, all you could see is just another strip of pavement that's like the strips of pavement everywhere in the world. Look at that wind blowing up. This is the middle of September in Montana, so at times we can experience winter weather. This looks like it's just going to be a rainstorm, and it might be back to being hot tomorrow. And right ahead, there's Highway 93. That's where we'll be, first we rejoin Roaring Lion Road, and then we go on Highway 93. You might be asking a lot of a little country road. The main way that people experience the world, the basic philosophical paradigm, is a subjective self that is separated from the world and manipulates it. Even if we believe the world is bigger and has larger purposes and reasons, our basic starting point in the modern world is of the isolated individual ego navigating a world of separate entities. And people want something more. You want that mystic moment where the world all makes sense. And people do things, sometimes dangerous things. Go and try to commune with nature, live the country life, follow the myth of ethnic identity. It doesn't work because that's not where we are. That's not the basis of our society unless you're actually insane or enlightened. I'm not insane and I'm not enlightened. This is what I have to work with. So sometimes when I do things like this, I hope I experience something bigger. And sometimes, if you can even hear me now, you see nature like this and you do get a feeling of sublime. Other times, you just get, why am I trekking along on these ribbons of asphalt? So this is where Westside meets Roaring Lion. We've been up Roaring Lion that direction, goes to Ward Mountain, Sawtooth Canyon, Roaring Lion, of course. And it's actually only 4:30. It looks darker, but it's only 4:30, but I'm heading home. So to summarize, Westside Road is a nice introductory bicycle ride just outside of Hamilton. Makes a nice little loop. You can see the mountains. Not totally ideal because there is still some traffic and it's not the most scenic place, but it's a good introduction. But this road by itself is not able to break the paradigm of the Cartesianly isolated individual and to put you into mystic, communion with the universe. So I guess I have to give it mixed ratings. Anyway, I am going to be going back and I'll make it, but my soul will have to wait.